Well, Dubai has led a decline in Middle East and global markets on concern that the world economy is struggling to emerge from recession. While Dubai has had some financial difficulties, another neighbor is trying to attract investment, Qatar. So joining us while he's here finding some opportunities in the U.S. and telling us about what to find in the Middle East is Stuart Pearce. He's CEO and Director General of the Qatar Financial Centre Authority. Thank you for coming in studio.
Nice to see you again. Nice to see
you. I know you couldn't possibly like having Qatar and Dubai in the same sentence comparatively there. Tell me why the model of the financial center in Qatar is so different than elsewhere in the Middle East.
We don't mind being compared to anybody. The fact is that Qatar is a very different place. The Middle East is becoming increasingly important strategically for many firms in the North American market, as well as Europe, of course. But what we're seeing is an increasing understanding of what Qatar's all about. Qatar's an asset-backed economy. It's the largest LNG producer on the planet. And it currently produces 33 million tons of LNG per annum, and we'll go up to 77 million tons in 2 years. That sort of number tends to spark attention. And what we've seen over the last year and a half is an increasing number of firms in the insurance sector and the asset management sector looking at the Middle East as a strategic market, saying we need to be there, we need to have a place on the ground, and they're now looking at Qatar versus, say, Abu Dhabi. A year ago, it was a one-way bet. They all went to Dubai. But that perception has changed dramatically.
Now, what is it that you have to offer to some of those firms to come do business in Qatar? I mean, is this a place to domicile your business, or is this a place where you can find a market within what is a small nation?
Yeah, but all the markets in the Middle East are fairly small except Saudi. So what people are looking at is the market in general. The GCC, if you add it together, is the 7th largest trading bloc on the planet and going to get larger. The Qatari market is going to be the 2nd largest economy in the GCC within 5 years after Saudi. So people are looking for a place to do business in and from, and that's where we come in, because our operation, our platform rather, is an onshore platform, unlike others which are offshore. So this is a unique platform that people are beginning to understand.
And the corporate tax rate?
10% flat on locally sourced profits, which makes it, I think, the lowest tax rate in the world. So this is very interesting, and increasingly people are also very interested in zero tax on personal income. So this is a very attractive place to look at, certainly from the European market, and say from London, where you've got tax rates being proposed to be at 50% for personal income tax.
What some would characterize as an implosion, or certainly in some ways, and a less severe description would be at least a fall, a strong pullback in what we saw in the Emirates, and particularly in Dubai, has raised questions about name-based lending perhaps being more prevalent than it should in the Middle East, and the lack of infrastructure in terms of bankruptcy law to protect expatriates doing business there. What's different in Qatar?
Well, I think you have to understand that the Middle East is still an emerging market in general. When I worked for HSBC for 30 years or so, a lot of lending in the Middle East and Asia was name-based. So the markets will need to change as we go forward. Certainly the recent issues with some of the Saudi borrowers have raised the level of awareness of more transparency. But as centres like the QFC and Dubai become more and more established, transparency, corporate governance is beginning to be talked about. The NYSE Euronext deal, where they bought 20% of Qatar Exchange recently, will actually move that further forward, I think. And so you'll see corporate governance becoming more and more talked about in companies that are listed on Middle East exchanges. It has to happen.
How much participation are you seeing from Qatari nationals or from members of the GCC in their own equity markets or in the marketplace at home?
Well, most of the markets are pretty small.
Right.
Most of the markets are retail markets, but increasingly the institutional investors are becoming interested. We recently had a QFC licensed firm that's been granted a license to provide custody services to the Qatar Exchange. So that will start to the process of more and more international firms being involved in exchanges. The mere fact that NYSE Euronext is involved will move that forward as well.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in studio and for explaining this to us. Stuart Pearce, the CEO of the Qatar Financial Centre Authority. Thank you very much.